Hey, my name is Isaac, a full-time cards player. I've been playing cards for the last 4 years of my life, and within this last year, it's been rough. I live in the city of Toronto, and there's not really any good games out there right now. The local casino has games running every single day, but it has a $20 rake structure, and that's been killing me. I've also had my own place with high bills. So with my bankroll taking a big hit, I thought I need to change something. So I came out to Fort Lauderdale, Florida this winter with high hopes. High hopes of finally being able to grind again and make good money. Within my first 60 hours of playing out here, I went on one of my worst cooler runs that I've been on in a long time and was immediately down 10K. And 10K USD is a little bit worse for me since I'm Canadian. This really hit my mental. I felt like I couldn't win a hand. I felt trapped. I felt it wasn't even my worst. It wasn't even my worst downswing in terms of money, but it was my worst downswing mentally. So I thought something needed to change. Again. That's when I created a schedule. This thought process was 2 weeks ago from today. And ever since then, I've been up a total of $13,000. Yes, cheers. Yes, smiles. I'm very happy about that. It feels good to switch it from being down a ton to up a ton. I'm sure some of you guys know that. But yeah, today I'm just going to be walking you guys through the day in my life of being a full-time cards player out here. And at the end of this video, there's going to be a session that I played yesterday, which was awesome. Not spoiling it in the sense of being up or down, but the hands are a must watch. So stay tuned and I'll see you guys at the gym.
Oh my God, so sweet.
All right, guys, I'm back from the gym. Today I'm gonna have steak, eggs, and a smoothie with some protein powder in it. That's what we do every single morning. Honestly, I'm feeling pretty good today. I got 8 hours of sleep last night. I felt like burnout was starting to creep up on me. So yesterday's day off was well worth it, and now I'm ready to crush today. Feeling good. Let's run good today. What do professional athletes do? They train every single day. They don't just train in the off season and then play the full regular season. They're training every day throughout the regular season and even harder in the off season. And they're playing games. Of course, it's easier said than done. And I'm starting to realize that if I want to become one of the best, I need to train like one of the best. As I make my way to the poker room, I feel an excitement building up inside of me. Something good is going to happen today. If you guys feel the same way, hit that like button. And if not, I promise your good day will come soon. We look down at 9-10 suited and make it $15 under the gun. Middle position makes the call, and big blind also comes along as well. Flop comes out, and it hits us pretty well. 9-10 deuce, 2 diamonds. Big blind checks, I check, and the in position recreational player bets a total of $30. Big blind folds, and I'm not calling. I raise, and I make it $110 to go. Middle position makes the call. This is looking pretty good for us so far. The turn card comes out, and it's about the best turn we could ask for. The deuce of clubs. There's now 2 flush draws on the board, but it pairs the board as well. This is where I think a player could be scared with a flush draw. So I don't want to go too big, but I also don't want to go too small. I make it $240 to go. He thinks about it for a little while, but doesn't like his hand enough to call here. He makes the fold. As you can see, we would have had pocket jacks here. The dealer accidentally flipped over my second card. It happens, it's no big deal. It's just unfortunate for this hand because we would have had pocket jacks. And it's not too big of a deal though because we actually end up getting ace jack suited, so not a bad hand itself. The table got the straddle going, and we're in the small blind. Cutoff makes it $35. Button makes the call, and it's on us. We don't like to call here, especially with a hand this strong. We make it $175 to go. Cutoff thinks about it for a bit, looks me up and down, then makes the call. Button folds. So now we're headed off to a flop heads up. That's exactly how I want it to be. The flop comes out, it's the king of hearts, 9 of spades, 5 of spades. King high boards are going to favor me a little bit more than the caller, so that's why I'm going to be betting a lot here, and it's going to be for a smaller size. I make it $140, which was around 30% of the pot. This is where it gets a little interesting. This player doesn't fold. He doesn't call, he doesn't raise. He stares at me for the next 2 minutes, looking me up and down, even though we're only on the flop, before folding his hand. So, I don't know. I guess maybe he had a decent holding and just thought I had ace king. Maybe he folded like pocket jacks. I have no idea. Obviously one combo of jacks, but yeah, on to the next one. Welcome to the beginning of the battlefield. We've got pocket kings in the straddle. The Euro reg makes it $25 on the button. I make it $110. He thinks about it for a bit and makes the call. We're sitting about 200 big blinds deep here, so we got each 2,000 in our stack. The flop comes out, 10 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds, 7 of clubs. I bet $75 here, as I'm going to be doing with my entire range. Knowing this, he should be calling with his entire range here. He knows this, and he makes the call. The turn comes out, jack of diamonds. This is about the worst turn card possible. It brings in straights, the possibility of more 2 pairs like jack 10. It even brings in some sets that he can have like pocket jacks. He can even have pocket 3s here. So this is a pretty terrible card for us. This is where I decide to play my hand slow. I check. I'm not going to be folding to a bet if he puts one out, and that's what he does. He bets $250. I make a mental note in my brain that he's repping a strong hand now, because this is not a small size. But we're not going to be folding just yet, so I make the call. The river comes out, and it's the ace of spades. Again, one of the worst cards possible, because he can have some ace high flush draws that bet the turn. I check, and he bets a total of $625. This is horrible for us, but this is a capable player. So now we got to think to ourselves, what do we beat? Well, we got to remember that this is a button opening range, which means he has all the pocket pairs between deuces and pocket 10s. And since I bet so small on the flop, he should be calling with all of those. Once the turn card comes out and it favors him so heavily, I assume he may be bluffing with some of those hands. But how many of them is he really bluffing with? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. If he's bluffing pocket 2s all the way up to pocket 9s here, then I think we have a snap call. But if he never turns those hands into bluffs, then I think we got to always fold our hand. So I don't really know what this guy's strategy is, so I'm trying to get a live read, but I also don't know this guy. And he's not giving me much here, but all I can remember was there's a couple hands before where he had value and he was staring a guy up and down, trying to act like he was getting a read off of him, but in reality, he had the nuts. This time, he's just staring at the board. Am I really going to take this read and go full force with it and make this crazy call? I don't know. It doesn't feel like I have enough information here to make a wild call with the assumption that he's bluffing with all these pairs. So I make the disciplined fold here, and I show it face up. He looks at me, and he seems pretty proud of himself, and that's what he is because he shows pocket 4s for the bluff. Pocket 4s with a diamond specifically, and explains his thought process that he wouldn't be bluffing without a diamond in his hand. Given that knowledge and information, I still think our hand might be a fold. It really depends on if he turns 7-8, 6-7, or pocket 8s into a bluff. Then I think we have to call all the time, but we don't know that. So in my head, I just knew it. And I was looking at him, and there's a few hands before when he had value, and he was looking the guy up and down, acting a little bit nervous, where in this hand, he was trying to be as still as possible and look as confident as possible. and something was just throwing me off. The live reads were ticking, the spider sense was itching. I just couldn't stick it in though. It'd be such a bad call, especially without a diamond. I'm for sure just supposed to fold there. But we are up around $1,100 so far, so the session is going great, and let's keep it going. We got him back. So pre-flop, there's a limp from under the gun, and then there's a button, same guy as before, the aggro player. He makes it 25. I'm in the big blind with 7-8 of spades, and solver says 3-bet here, so I bumped it up. I went to 110, and I went to 125. Under the gun player thinks about it for a while and then makes a call with around 1,000 in his stack, so I thought that was a little strange. Button also makes the call, but he doesn't love it. The flop comes out and it's 9-4-4, 2 diamonds, 1 club. I decide to check here, given that under the gun probably has a ton of like pocket 10s, maybe 7s, jacks, ace queen, ace king sort of hand, so I don't really want to do a lot of betting here myself. So I play check, planning to check raise if the button bets, and it checks to the button, surprisingly. So under the gun must have some sort of like ace king, ace queen, and button bets $65 into around 375 here, so super small. I think I'm gonna want to do a lot of raising when he chooses this size, so I go to 225. I don't love it though because my hand has like 0 equity on this board, but why not get aggro, right? Under the gun folds, button calls, turn comes out, it's a 9 of clubs, so now it's 9-4-4, 9, double flush draw. I think he's gonna play a lot of check back here, and I think he knows I'm gonna check a lot of overpairs here. So that's what I do. I check, he thinks about it for a bit and checks back. River comes out and it's an offsuit 3? Yes, offsuit. The river's an offsuit 3. Now I feel like I just need to bluff. I have 8 high, so I'm kind of just trying to tell the story here that I have pocket jacks, pocket 10s, pocket queens sort of hands. I don't want to go too small because I think he's going to raise me a lot. He could still have a 4 and a 9 in his range. He could have 4-5 suited. Pre-flop he didn't love it though, so I don't think he's got too much ace-4 suited. Anyways, I put out a bet of 350, around just under half pot, around 45% pot. He thinks about it for a bit, he doesn't love it, and he's kind of showing us that, so I know he's not going to raise, and he must have some sort of pocket pair or ace high holding. He ends up folding his hand, we get the bluff through, and of course we show him just like he showed us, game is on. We're going to be playing the most common pot seen at low stakes poker, a limp pot. Under the gun limps, and I've seen him limp ace king before, so we're not going to be ISOing wide here. Small blind limps as well. We look down at queen jack offsuit in the straddle. I check my option. Flop comes out jack of spades, 7 of diamonds, 3 of diamonds. Small blind quickly leaves out $30. I make the call, and under the gun gets out of the way. The turn comes out, and it's the 8 of spades. He now leads for $75 here. Now is where I gotta think to myself, what is he repping? What does he have? Well, he limped from the small blind, and I can see him limping hands like 7-3 suited, jack 7 suited, pocket 3s, pocket 7s, and then maybe some traps with hands that he was hoping that I would raise my option, given that I've seen as a more aggressive player at the table. Who knows, he could have aces here. But I'm not folding yet, I've got top pair. I make the call. River comes out and it's the 4 of spades. So backdoor flush draw gets there, and now he thinks about it for a bit and leads out $250. He's now repping a pretty big hand. Here's where my head is at. Flop, he led into me. Turn, he led into me. River, he led into me. When players take this line at the 2-5, they're significantly under bluffing. And remember, on the flop, he led full pot. I have a feeling he was trying to trap us pre-flop with some sort of big holding. He seems like that kind of player. I'm almost 100% certain that my hand is beat, So now the question is, do I want to turn my hand into a bluff? I could represent a backdoor flush draw. I could represent a straight here, 2 pairs, a ton of holdings that I can represent here. And he can be thin value betting with a hand as weak as ace jack. Hands that I feel like will not fold against me are pocket 3s, maybe jack 7 and pocket 7s. He maybe even has a straight or some sort of weird backdoor flush himself. I'm not too sure, so I think the best option here is to just let go of my cards and live to see another day. This is not really a spot that I feel like I need to take at this table, especially since the game is playing 2-5-10 and the table is good.
Bet is 10.
Ha ha ha, 10? Make it 30. We're under the gun. It folds around to the big blind. Same guy who tried to read my soul way earlier in the session when I had ace jack suited. Ends up bumping it up to $110. This guy doesn't really have too many 3-bet bluffs in his range. So we're going to be looking at hands like ace king, maybe ace queen, and then some pocket queens, pocket jacks, and aces. That's probably his range here. Maybe king queen suited. So when it's back on us, I'm going to go for the small 4-bet raise here, given that we're only sitting around 1100 effective. I bump it up to $280. He thinks it over and again tries to stare in my soul, trying to get some sort of read. Doesn't, because he makes the call. The flop comes out and it comes out the ace of clubs, the ace of spades, and the 6 of clubs. He looks at this board for about 3 seconds and then grabs some chips. I'm shocked. He bets out $275. Immediately, I think, this guy's a fish. So when it's on us, we're just going to make this call here, I guess. Don't really know where I'm at. Don't really know what this guy's doing. But I'm not folding yet. I block ace king. And what is he repping? Quads? I don't know. Anyways, turn comes out and it's the 8 of clubs. So now there's 2 flush draws. He immediately jams for $385. Now is where I start to think to myself, what the heck, man? Like, what the heck? This makes no sense. I mean, yeah, this just makes no sense. This was literally my thought process in the moment of, I don't really know what to think about this. Maybe he's got a hand that I would never expect, like some sort of random flush draw. Maybe he's got ace queen and he just wants to put it in. Or maybe he saw this flop and thinks, I can't win this hand with a hand like jacks or queens. And it's just trying to steal it from me if I have like kings. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't even know if he's thinking. But nice hand by him because he's got me thinking with pocket kings here. Sorry for calling you a fish, buddy, but maybe you know something that I don't. Anyways, I'm thinking about it for a while, but I just feel like I can't fold. The pot's too big, so I put in the call, and we're off to a run out. River comes out, the deuce of clubs, so backdoor flush gets there, and I stand up to look at his hand because I'm so curious, and he ends up showing pocket queens. So we're going to take this one down, and pretty cool hand by him, I guess, trying to get me off of kings, but I guess I'm the fish that just won't fold kings here. Cool hand. I'm in the straddle with pocket 3s. Button, Young Reg, opens $30. Kind of sounds like a rapper name. I just gave the best rapper name of all time, Young Reg. Young Ray. Young Ray. Anyways, I make the call, obviously, and the flop comes out. It's beautiful. Ace of diamonds, 3 of clubs, 5 of clubs. We flop bottom set. I check, expecting him to bet a lot on this board, but unfortunately, he checks back. The turn comes out and it's the 10 of spades. I still think he can have an ace here, and maybe he's trying to play it tricky. He can even have some straight draws now, so I go for an over bet. I bet $80 here. I'm just hoping that he thinks I'm bluffing. I'm hoping that he smells a bluff or smells something up with this bet, since it's so big and he was weak on the flop. And I guess it works because he ends up making the call. River comes out and it's the queen of clubs. So front door flush draw gets there. And this card kind of sucks because now he's probably just gonna think that my flush draw got there, given that I overbet the turn. Everything gets there. But I'm still gonna go for max value because this guy knows I'm capable. So I go for a bet of 225, just under the size of the pot. He thinks about it for a while. I'm trying my best to look a little bit nervous because why not? I think it helps our case. And he ends up making the call. So maybe it worked, or maybe he just had some sort of decent holding that he didn't believe me with. In this next hand, we're in the small blind with jacks, jiggities, hooks, all that stuff. Button, who's our new friend, Sue from Korea, he opens to $40 and I make it $150. It's back onto him. He thinks about it for a bit. He's surprised that I 3-bet him as we're now friends, but I don't play nice at the table. Doesn't seem like he likes to play nice either, because he thinks it over for a while and then makes it $350. Action's back on me, and I've seen him 3-bet before with hands like suited connectors, but I just don't think that he would get super aggressive against me, knowing that I'm vlogging and how I've been playing so far and his play style, knowing that I go for like live tells. He knows all this stuff, so my spidey senses are saying that he wouldn't do this with a bluff here, and he usually opens to 35, but this time he goes 40. Something tells me he's got a strong hand. And thankfully he shows us pocket kings, so we show him the jacks and that we owned his soul here with a read. And sorry buddy, but couldn't give any action here. And he was also kind enough to let us show his face, and he wanted to be featured, so there he is right there. I'm just going to keep the camera rolling because the very next deal we get a playable hand again. We're on the button and we have Jack 10 suited. I want to win some of the money that I lost last hand, but this hand is also just in our 3-bet range in this position. Hijack opens to $30, so we bump it up to $100. Pick your poison of why I did it. Pretty sure it's the second reason though. Hijack ends up letting go of his cards, so we pick up the pot. And I'm actually going to keep the cameras rolling once more because we get another playable hand the very next deal. We're now in the cutoff, and we must be a fish because the hooks seem to love us. We open at $30, and to our surprise, Big Blind opens it back up to $140. This is a reg, so I'm going to respect his range, and this is actually a spot where I could jam sometimes, but I decide to not take the super aggressive route. That seems a little bit too crazy for these kind of games to risk my stack like that. And I'm in position, so I just make the call. The flop comes out, King 10-8, Rainbow. He leads for $90, and on this board, I don't mind just letting my cards go actually, given that he is a reg, but I also think he's under 3-bet bluffing against me. But I think we're a little bit too strong right now. He could still have hands like Ace 10, so I make the call. The turn comes out and it's a 5, offsuit 5. He checks and I check it back. Now we're off to a river. It comes out an offsuit ace, and surprisingly, he checks it again. I would expect him to bet this card pretty often. So now I'm thinking he could have a hand like queens, or maybe even jacks himself in one other combo. Maybe pocket nines. We beat that though. Or he could have some traps here. So I think about turning my hand into a bluff for a second, but then think better of it, and I check it back. Thankfully we did, because he flips over ace king. That's going to be a wrap for today's session, guys. If you enjoyed this one, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We are in for a total of $1,100 and cashed out for a total of $29.94. So not a bad day at the office at all. And I'm gonna do a couple more of these day in the lives while I'm out here in Fort Lauderdale. So stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next one.